So with postseason upon us, I thought it would be a really good idea to go over some of the equitation tests that judges can ask from you in your flat and your jumping classes. There are specific tests they are allowed to ask, so there are things that you want to have in your back pocket and ready to pull out when this is asked of you. So I went to the USEF website, www.usef.org/rulebook, to pull up these tests, and you come to this page and you want to click on the equitation division in this blue box. This takes you to the equitation table of contents, and the section we are interested in is the tests from which judges must choose in the Hunter Seat equitation section. And I already know from a little research that this is on page 24 of the PDF. So, coming down to this test from which judges must choose, there's a little synopsis here you can read on your own time. I just want to go specifically over some of these tests. The first test they have listed is halting, 4 to 6 seconds, or halt and back. This is something that you see often in a lot of different cases, whether you're riding a shortened course of jumps, or they ask a walk trot or walk trot canter class to halt and back up in the lineup, or even just asking a general flat class to halt as a group. Number 2 is the hand gallop, and I actually have a video here from Nationals last year where the rider shows some of these tests. This is the end of the video. So as she comes into the ring, she walks through the in-gate, which is one of the rules. You must walk in and out of the in-gate, and she picks up her canter right away. This is for team novice fences, so this is a pretty good novice test. But she's picking up what looks to be a slower hand gallop, not the best hand gallop, but she's nice and straight. She finds the jump in a good rhythm and gets a flying lead change as she makes the left-hand turn to this green oxer. This isn't the best video, but it does show a pretty nice test. After the jump, she comes back down to the trot and has a nice trot fence here and a halt afterwards. And a nice quiet halt, holding a nice position and her horse standing quietly as she picks up her sitting trot to exit the arena. And going back to our rules, that showed a halt, it showed a trot fence, it showed a hand gallop. A couple of different tests in there, so that's why some judges prefer to do a shortened course when they're judging a jumping class. So number 3, we're looking at a figure 8 at the trot, demonstrating a change of diagonals. Sometimes you'll see this in a walk trot or a walk trot canter class. The rider showing they can make equal circles, and they can also change their diagonal and know which diagonal they should be on. A figure 8 at the canter on the correct lead, demonstrating a simple change of lead. We'll come back to this one a little later in the presentation. Number 5, work collectively or individually at a walk trot or canter. Judges sometimes will split the group, if you've noticed before, to their top and their bottom riders. They want to see their top riders against each other, and they want to make sure they're not missing anyone that belongs in the group. Jump low obstacles at a trot as well as at a canter, which we saw a little trot fence in that last video. Jump obstacles on a figure 8 course. It's not something that you see very often because it sometimes does involve a course change, but they can still ask it. Questions regarding basic horsemanship, tack, and equipment and conformation. We get this quite often in our region when deciding high point riders. It's a good test of horsemanship. IHSA riders need to be aware of the tack that they have, the equipment they're using, what kind of bit is in their horse's mouth, to better understand how to ride the horse that they have. So judges want to know if you understand it or if you're just riding. Number 9 is riding without stirrups, with the option to cross them. We get that quite often. It can be done over a course of fences, within the group, or within a test, within a smaller test. Jump low obstacles at a walk or as well as at a canter. Dismount and mount individually. Turn on the forehand, done through the walk or the halt. Figure 8 at the canter on a correct lead, demonstrating a flying change of lead. So in the IHSA, when you're not sure if your horse has a flying lead change or not, or more so at the regional level, sometimes the zone level, they don't usually tell you a flying lead change is required. They give you the option. They want to see that you can make the better decision for the horse you're on. Maybe your horse has a sticky lead change. You don't know. Usually at the national level, all the horses have lead changes. But it's always smart to read your horse and understand what's going to make your test the most successful. Number 14 is executing a serpentine at a trot and or at a canter on a correct lead, demonstrating simple or flying changes of lead. I've seen this one before. Number 15 is a change of leads on a line, demonstrating a simple or a flying change of lead. This has been done at nationals a few years ago. And here's a little video of this. They did this test in several different flat classes where the riders had to do they had to come down the quarter line of the ring and perform 2 simple changes of lead. I'm not positive if they required it be a simple change or if they said flying was okay. But 2 simple changes of lead on a nice straight line, making the turn, and returning to the line up at the sitting trot. So that's just a nice simple flat test that's been used at nationals before, and it was used quite a bit that year. Number 16 is changing horses, which is something you can see often in the IHSA because they want to see how your opponent can ride the horse that you rode and vice versa. Number 17, cantering on the counter lead, ensuring that the horses that are provided to you have a counter lead, and usually at the national and zone level they're tested to make sure that they do. Turn on the haunches from the walk, and a demonstration ride of approximately 1 minute. That's not as often used, but if you were to do a demonstration ride, you want to ensure that you're performing a test that shows off your strengths and your horse's strengths rather than your weaknesses. So, with postseason here, and we're preparing for regionals, it's a good idea to have these tests in your back pocket, ready to go. You're comfortable with all of the movements so that when you're put into a testing situation, you can succeed and hopefully win the class.